By 1936, the Depression had taken its toll on the Union Pacific's passenger power. The newest design were the 482 Mountains, built in 1921, and they just couldn't keep up with the increasing demands for speed and tonnage. The next step in locomotive power was the 484 design, developed by the Northern Pacific 10 years earlier. Never satisfied with using another railroad's nickname for locos, the UP took possession of the first 20 FEFs in 1937. It was a good thing the UP let other railroads learn what could and should be improved to these high-stepping brutes, for the FEF was UP's first modern power, equipped with roller bearings on all wheels, state-of-the-art lubrication systems, high-tech driving wheels, double brake shoes, and a design calculated for 110 miles per hour. Except the tri-weekly diesel-powered city trains, the FEFs were given every crack passenger assignment, including this express train loaded with fresh cherries bound for eastern markets. FEFs became an instant hit with both the mechanical and operating departments. In just the first year, the 20 locomotives racked up an impressive 3,597,945 miles in revenue service, for an average of 15,000 miles a month per unit. Because they were new, the FEFs had a whopping 93% availability rate. It only took 8 hours to service a unit between assignments, meaning they were ready for duty at the drop of a hat. But all of this shouldn't suggest that the class's abilities weren't put to the test. Here we catch two coal-burning FEFs in early 1946, double-heading coach-heavy train number 21, the Pacific Limited, on the east slope of Sherman Hill. 818 will lend a hand to the summit, where it will cut off and drop down light to Cheyenne, proving these impressive machines can tackle any job given to them. In 1939, another 15 FEFs were delivered to the UP, and they soon found themselves in duty almost system-wide. Given the stellar performance of the first batch, there were few major improvements given to the FEF2s. The two most obvious changes were a larger tender, with 5 axles being mounted directly to the body for greater fuel and water capacity. They received larger driving wheels, growing from 77 to 80 inches. Everything was designed for a maximum horsepower, being produced at 110 miles per hour. It's doubtful any other locomotive was built to such specs. Given the struggle we are witnessing, is it any wonder that the nation's railroads were acutely interested in upgrading the steel and wood passenger car fleets to sleeker, lightweight aluminum designs? Of the 1,073 heavyweight cars on the UP's roster at the time, most were built before 1931, going all the way back to 1909. The shortcomings of the heating and electrical systems were a burden borne by the passengers, with the Great Depression and World War II stunting years of progress. Engineers were confident in the FEFs leaving Cheyenne, for that was their home base for maintenance. At this time, standard operating procedure was to assign an 800 to a passenger train from Omaha to Cheyenne, where it would take a 12-hour break for inspections. Then it was off to destinations such as Ogden, Utah, or Huntington, Oregon. There they would be serviced and then assigned another run to Omaha, again stopping in Cheyenne for 12 hours. When serious repairs were made to an FEF, it would likely spend time being broken in on helper runs up Sherman Hill, such as the 818 is most likely doing here. The last train in Part 1 serves as a good example on why the UP needed higher horsepowered engines. In the depth of the Great Depression, the UP hired one Miss Avis Lodebell from Portland, Oregon, to travel around the system and talk to the riders to see what could be done to improve service and regain ridership. The result was a revolutionary concept among American railroads, the Challenger. An economy-minded train designed to cater to women became a popular success. The first two coaches were reserved for women and staffed with registered nurses to attend to the needs of the pregnant to the elderly. A feeling of and sense of community and caring quickly translated to increased ridership. The cars were equipped with better lighting that made sleeping easier. At night, station stops were announced by an attendant, waking only those passengers who needed to be awake. Meal service was between 25 and 35 cents, with an attendant going from car to car, talking about the meals and taking reservations. All of these concepts live today on Amtrak. Oh, and did I mention air conditioning? By the time the FEFs were ready to lend a hand, the Challenger was being run in multiple sections, and the new San Francisco Challenger had been instituted. Even with modernized equipment, these trains would range between 10 and 15 cars, making for a tremendous need for horsepower on the drawbar. Here, the 825 has made it halfway up the Wasatch grade. It's a long and steady slog up the mountain eastbound out of Ogden. Echo was the strategic stop for refueling the hungry coal burners, for they've been chewing up the black stuff at a constant clip since pulling away from Union Station. This also happens to be the place where the Park City branch leaves the main line to serve the mines to the south. Incidentally, my grandfather worked in the Mayflower Tunnel at this time, from 39 to 41. When war broke out, he moved the family down to Ogden and became an airplane mechanic at Hill Air Force Base because he was too old to join the fight. And now it's time for the 825 to prove its worth as it tackles the steepest part of the climb into Wyoming, ducking into tunnels and dodging hillsides. This area was so rugged for the original grading crews in the 1860s that they first could only build a series of switchbacks known as the Great Z to reach Ogden. Costly and time-consuming, this was quickly remedied by lots of black powder and sweat. As this peak of steam engine technology eases down the short descent into Evanston, Wyoming, I would like to thank everyone who has subscribed to this channel. Your support means a lot to me. I'm grateful you find these videos even mildly entertaining. So stay tuned for part 2, where we explore the expanded role the FEFs played in the post-war years. Thanks for watching.